M page.
All right, because I'm gonna put it on so that it's on
Take your
my
time. We got some time.
thing as well. So that it's on my.
Take your time. We got some time.
All right. Yep, that's it. So let me. Uh,
I'm putting it in a few groups. So. All right. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Hi,
good,
Cimone. How are
good. How
you?
you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing amazing. Chilling, chilling, chilling. So, hello, everyone. Y'all, come on in. Come on in. It's Simone Casson. It's your cash counselor, money problem solver, Michigan chapter president of M. And you guys are tuning in to Cash Out on Cannabis. This is episode 5, Eric. You've been stuck with me 5 months.
Glad to be able to be stuck with you. We've been
Okay.
having
All
fun.
right. That's the good answer. I like to hear that. I like to hear that. So, y'all come on in. Today is going to be an exciting show, right? So we're going to talk about Wall Street and how that's going to impact us and cannabis and everything else. We're also going to have one of my really good friends. Both me and Eric, I actually met Matt through Eric. So Mr. Matt Hoffmann of our Cannabis, who is going to talk to us about how to land your dream job in cannabis. And so, of course, this is a conversation. Um, you guys, I definitely want to hear what your thoughts are on this. The first half of the show, we usually talk about politics, but Eric said I could talk about money for the first half of the show this week because it was a hot topic. I had to get it approved. So he said that we could kick it about money. Matt got a chance to listen to some stuff on Clubhouse, so we're gonna make sure that he chimes in, and then of course we will let Mr. Foster chime in. So we're gonna talk about what's going on Wall Street first. One thing, can y'all do y'all make sure that everything is set up? Can we hear? Did y'all check on y'all phones or whatever? I think we could. We have everybody can hear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. I got it.
And Simone, you never have to ask my permission to talk finance. I have been a follower, an avid follower of macro, microeconomics, of institutional investing, of the stock market, the commodities market.
Know that,
Since I
but the
was
other
seven,
people didn't know that.
since I was seven, I was like Alex Keaton, but
Yes,
in the right.
yes. Look,
Keaton.
okay, so were me and you the only kids that was like the Magellan Fund? You know what I'm saying? You're like, I
Yes,
think I was the
yes,
only kid
yes.
that knew what the Magellan Fund was.
When
Um,
mutual funds came on the market, I said, "Oh snap! It's on
yeah,
now."
yeah. So yeah, so totally, yeah. So I think that might be part of how we vibe.
Mhm.
That we both, kind of like money and all that other stuff. So this is cool. All right.
Well,
So
it's
if
what
you
makes the
guys got
world
a
go.
question, do me a favor and make sure that you guys put it in the comments. I'm going to be reading the comments. I got them over here. Also, y'all share it as much as possible and y'all come in and hang out with us and get started. So I guess I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Eric to get started and we can have this conversation, right?
So yes, we can. So everybody, we've seen what has been total, what is considered craziness, but also is exposing the reality of how our economic system works, which our whole system is predicated on faith and credit. Faith that what we buy, the value of our money, the value of our investments is tangible. That if we ever need to cash it out, it will be there. And credit, the ability to trade when you don't necessarily have all the money in hand, be it if you're a bank, if you're a business, or if you are a person, to trade with the expectation that somebody else believes in you that you can pay back the money. Now, how does that tie in? Everybody, y'all seen what's been happening with GameStop and AMC and the whole regular investor, retail investor, just me, people like me and you guys, versus the big hedge funds. So we're going to dive into that because that has ripple ramification on not just commercial marijuana and the industry we're in, but just in reality in your daily life, and also where opportunities might come in for you to make a little money on the side. So, Cimone,
Yeah.
give everybody kind of a breakdown of what happened, what's going on, and what this really means with respect to GameStop and AMC, Reddit versus Wall Street. What's happening?
Well, okay, so I think if you're watching us, you're watching us on InfoMM site, or we've shared it from there. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because social media has been a way where the little man, quote unquote, can be able to get their message out, share information really, really quickly, right? And so there are additional laws and policies in place that allow us to be able to share information to raise capital. That's the first thing. The second thing is that through God and Google and everything else, we're able to get this message out really quickly, which is different than people were able to do before. And so that's where we segue into Reddit. So the way that the stock market works is that when a company is listed, then individuals are able to purchase shares of this company. And when you purchase shares of the company, the more shares that are bought, the more that the price increases. To your point, Eric, it's the belief, it's the sentiment. Understand that the stock price really has absolutely nothing to do with what the company is worth or not. Usually, in most cases, it's an emotional. It's how we feel about the company and what the sentiment is, or what the strategy is. Remember
Right,
that. Okay.
right. A
So,
belief that the company might give you something back in terms of,
right,
yeah, it's
exactly.
good. I
Exactly.
trust it.
So one thing that you have to understand that there's two different types. There are traders and there are investors. Traders are looking for income, meaning that they're going to hold companies for a short amount of time. Investors are looking for capital appreciation, meaning that they're going to find a company that's going to have a growth and they're going to ride with them for a very, very long time, for a long time, over a year, 3 years, or whatever. Okay. So when we look at the stock market and we talk about the supply and demand, we've already decided that the more that the people buy, the higher it goes up. The more that people sell, the lower the price goes up. And that can be dependent on emotion, sentiment, or whatever the strategy is. Now, when I tell you guys all the time, there's only two streets that matter, y'all. It's only two streets. If you live on Jefferson, don't nobody give a damn. If you live on Lemuel, can't nobody, they don't care nothing about you. It's only two streets that matter. That's Wall Street and Main Street. Wall Street is where the big money is made, and Main Street is where the policy and the decisions are made. They're the only two streets that matter in this United States, right? So Wall Street has what we consider hedge funds, right? And these hedge funds are what we consider accredited investors or sophisticated investors. Y'all, not us. Okay, so how do you become an accredited investor? Meaning that you have about $250,000 or more to be able to invest. But usually these people are bigger than that, right? And then how do you define a sophisticated investor? You got experience. You're sophisticated. You done did it before, right?
Right.
Okay, so these guys are on Wall Street, and what they do is they pick up the phone and they say, okay, look, we're going to buy so and so, so and so, so and so, right? Yeah, two phones
Mhm.
down. So they say, okay, we're going to buy whatever, whatever, whatever. Okay, cool. They go and buy it. And so they probably have 100 friends who have $1 million. And then what happens is we get up in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is totally me. I will totally get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and watch the Chinese stock market. Yes, because I'm a lame. So we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and we see in the pre-market that some stock has gone up. Now check this out. We don't have access to the pre-market. So they bought this stock overnight and they've shot it up. Only for us to get on social media and tell everybody, and then we buy it at 9:30, only for them to sell all of this shit, and then it goes back down and we've lost our money. And we've seen this movie over and over and over again. Well, my friends, like for when they looked at GameStop, it was a whole bunch of guys who kind of hung out on the dark web. Dark web is a web internet where dark shit go on. Okay, so anyway, like the gamers, these Asian guys, these traders, they got to talking back and forth, and they said, "Hey, we don't have $1 million. We don't have 100 people that have $1 million, but we got access to 1 million people who have $100. And in addition to this, we could tell them how they can buy these stocks without using their own money." See, this is what really pissed the hedge funds off, is that they didn't use their own money in a lot of cases. It's kind of like having a bad boyfriend. Rashid, he been bringing his ass home at 2 o'clock in the morning all year long, and you come in at 1:30, now he pissed and he want to break up. Rashid, we still go together. So this is the issue of what's going on. They got upset because they beat them at their own game.
So Cimone, give a little bit more background, because most people think, all right, if I'm gonna buy stock or I'm gonna buy a mutual fund, shares or money market or something, I actually have to use my money immediately to buy the stock. So
there's a couple different ways that you can do it. So
they can borrow, they can buy it without paying any money. They can borrow.
You can't. So Robinhood has put a kibosh on this, right, for a while. Okay. And we probably will see other broker dealers to do the same thing, because they have to have some they want some regulation.
But understand this. Put a kibosh on it. Well, how did it work?
I'm sorry, say it one more. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you that. So a margin is pretty much you borrowing a stock, right? So you get a chance to borrow a stock. So I use the analogy of a pair of Christian Louis Vuitton shoes. Let's say your friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, they give you, you say, I'm going out of town, I'm going on vacation, and I need to borrow your shoes, right? Now, your friend doesn't care about the price of the shoes or whatever. They just want their shoes back, period. Okay. Understand that. So you go on vacation, everything is going good, you having a great time, and she breaks the heel. Oh my God. What do you have to do? You got to replace these damn shoes. Now, whether or not you pay $100 for them or $1,000 for them, it doesn't matter. You just have to replace the shoes. It's the same thing with a margin call. If you buy ABC stock, ABC stock, the broker dealer doesn't care how much you pay for it. So if you bought it at a high and then sold it, if you bought the stock, let it go up, sold it and rebought it, it doesn't even matter. If you bought it low and it went up, it doesn't even matter. What you incur is the profit or the loss, which we call the spread in between. So as long as you replace that stock back, you Gucci.
So, Ali Belty on MSNBC over the weekend did a really good breakdown of this. He basically said that if you borrow a share of stock at $200, and that your initial cost is zero, and but you still own the borrowed stock. So you haven't put out any money, but technically you bought the stock because you're borrowing it, $200. And then if the stock goes down to $100, then you can actually buy it at the real price of $100. Well, not real price, but you can actually buy it with your own money at $100, and then give them back the original stock, and you keep the $100 difference if it went down. But if it goes up, and this was about the whole thing with the hedge funds, is that if it goes up, then you lose money because they were betting that the stock was going to go down. I probably explained it all
Yeah,
crazy.
you did. So just stick with what I just said. When
Okay,
you
okay.
so look, that's right. Okay, so you're gonna
All right.
confuse
Sorry about that,
everybody.
everybody.
The purpose of it is that regardless of whatever, you got to get the stock back to them. Right. So if you buy it at a high or you buy it at a low, it doesn't matter. You get it back to them, and then you're gonna incur the loss or the gain. That's it. Just make
Okay.
it simple. Because that was, I mean, you're gonna confuse the people. So that's the basis of that. Now we also have options, right? So options are calls and puts, and those are rights and obligations. So the person that holds a call or a put has the right to either call it, meaning they can buy it, or they can put it and they can sell it. And so a lot of times you'll see companies or traders, they use what we call options, right? So calls or puts, so that they get a chance to they can dictate what we call the strike price, or the price of which that stock is going to be a better fit for your portfolio, in short.
Okay.
So either that price might be in the money or out the money. And what that means is that either the stock price is better, meaning that it's higher if you're selling it, or if you're buying it, that it's at a lower price. See,
Okay.
easy. Make it short.
Okay.
All
So
right, cool. What else we
how
got?
did the hedge funds lose money by people buying the stock and the stock price going up? How did
Well,
they lose
okay,
money and people make money?
right. So one, the big thing is they didn't get a chance to take advantage of the win. That was the first thing, right? So hedge funds were not able to take advantage of the win. That's their biggest concern. And then the next concern is for them is their lack of ability to control the market. See, hedge funds have been what we consider the market makers for so long. Again, they were able to buy large shares of stock. The fear is not about the actual money that they lost. They can give damn less. The fear is about them no longer being able to control the market going forward, because this is a game that they have been playing. So in essence, let's look at it just like subprime loans, right? So what
Okay.
happens is that y'all, I don't know if y'all been listening, but they keep saying that, we're trying to save the people. Don't save me when I'm making money. Save me when I'm broke. You don't need to be saved when I'm making money, right? So save me later. Save me when I don't have no money. So one of the things that they're looking at is, okay, we have been able to control and manipulate the market for a very, very long time. This since inception. Now the powers, the other people, people, the dumb people have decided that they figured out how they can manipulate the market too. So this is a very, very, very scary time where we're looking at a time where there may be some struggle control over who is going to win and who's going to lose, right? And who has kind of pretty much a piston contest, right?
Okay.
So we will learn in the next 30 to 60 days if Wall Street cares more about power or if they care more about money, right? So if they
Yeah.
care more about power, we can definitely see a big sell-off in the very near future of them selling off under margins like we did, like we just talked about, where they're borrowing stocks, allowing the stocks to go up and then selling it off and allowing it to have a crash. Or if they're more worried about money, where they continue to let the stocks rally and they start to buy more and more long-term stocks at a discount. So
So,
we'll see what the hell happens.
so here's my question, because it when the media has talked about it, national media, all types, what they
Mhm.
basically said was that the hedge funds were betting that GameStop and AMC and all of these companies were going to go down in their stock price, that they were
Mhm.
basically going to, in a sense, fail,
Mhm.
and that regular people said, no, we're going to buy these stock because we believe these companies can make us money and make it and stay going, right? And so in that frame, weren't the hedge funds the bad guys in this scenario because they're betting against American companies? And
Well, yeah, yes and no. So you got to think about it like this. When you talk about a company, you want to look as an investor, right? Real investors, you're going to look at its intrinsic value, its real value. Let's talk about these companies that we're talking about. We talking about AMC. Last time your ass been to the movies? I wait.
I want
Okay,
to say it was
so of
probably
course,
March
when you're
before the
utilizing,
pandemic
right?
got
So when you're
March 2020.
utilizing financial statements, growth, new normal, COVID, and all that other stuff, hell, you look at the last quarter to invest in AMC, you got to be damn crazy. Of course, that's what they were supposed to do. Hedge funds, of course, we wouldn't do that. Why would we think? Why would we think that a company that is AMC, who we know we just gave their asses a PPP loan, right? We know y'all, this is not drive-in, y'all. So we know that nobody has been, they haven't even been, most theaters have not even been open. We're not talking about drive-ins. We're
Okay.
talking about a place, a business who ain't been open. It has
Okay.
not been an inception in the last 12 months in most states, right? And so, of course, they're going to be able to utilize. So, if you're utilizing, deductive reasoning and you're thinking of market efficiency, and we always say market efficiency means that the information that's out there is enough for the market to be correct, right? So, we think that the
Okay.
market is efficient. Yes, they were supposed to do that. Now, did they take in consideration that the traders had been talking amongst themselves and everything else? Now, I do the big fear, did they lose money because they put in calls and puts? That's what we just talked about, meaning that they put in that they were able to be the holder of being able to purchase these stocks at a certain price, right? Because the price would go down, right? We talked about that. Or they were going to be able to sell it, meaning I'm going to put it on somebody, make them sell it at a time when I think the price is going to be right? Whatever. So they lost money in that. But they lose money doing that shit every day. That's not the fear. Who
Okay.
cares about that? You know what I mean? They don't care. The fear is I'm no longer in control of this shit. That's the fear. You think they really care about? They didn't lose like a ridiculous amount of money. Do y'all know that there are automatic stoppers on every stock exchange that if once, just like how Robinhood stopped, trading stops after if the stock market hits a certain amount, trading stops immediately, right?
So
There
like
are
last
buffers and
year
things
when we
that
had
go
those big
in.
drops.
Nobody cares about that. Not for
So
real.
like last year when we had those big drops because of the pandemic
And
and
it
Wall
stops.
Street
Yeah,
stopped
it'll stop.
trading. Okay. Okay.
Mhm. It
So
automatically stops. Like when we hit a certain correction, there's a machine. I mean, we've even seen some stocks that have gone up. We saw in cannabis a couple of stocks a couple years ago that were like rallying like control or going down like control, and it'll automatically stop it. That's just regulatory shit that happens.
okay. And
Now,
Matt's
of
telling
course,
people
I'm
to
a
keep
nerd,
that.
and you probably like, well, why do you know that? Just go with
So
it.
so for people thinking, okay, so let's take GameStop. So
Okay.
GameStop was at $4 when this whole thing started.
Yeah.
And now GameStop is trading over $300.
Yeah.
So if you're a regular person, should you buy now? Because the and so thinking about it like this, the regular people were buying at 4 and they drove it up to a high of 350.
Uh-huh.
Now it's about 300. The hedge funds were betting at 4 that it was going to go down probably
Right.
to 2. And
Hmm.
so they have a couple of them have had to get loans to help them out because of the amount of money they've had to pay out
Yeah.
because they were over capitalized, they were over leveraged. So
That's
now,
and that's bullshit because they're just using other people's money. They had the damn money. You can't, you playing out here. There's a certain amount. Come on. All of this is garbage, but go ahead. I'm listening to it.
okay, so regular person, let's say
Mhm.
Matt decides, okay, I want to get in. Is this the time for Matt to get in on GameStop and AMC and those companies? Or should Matt be looking at another company that's a $4 company, like let's say a Sears, or let's say um, a mall that's a publicly traded company, or someone like that, Toys R Us? Should he be looking at something like that and get involved, or should he buy into GameStop now, where GameStop is GameStop going to go up anymore? Would it be worth him getting in and buying anything in it?
Well, first things first, answer your question, get in the game. You know, you
Okay.
need to get in the game, period. This is a unique time for us and for people, regular people, to be able to have these opportunities of investing. This is probably one of the first times ever that it was not just the uber rich or the accredited or the middle class that was having this conversation. Now, because of God and Google, anybody with $3 can become an investor, right? First thing.
Okay.
You got to understand, though, your risk and reward is directly related to how much you invest in it. So, will you see possibly another thing like GameStop? Shit, I don't know. We've seen it with Bitcoin. We saw it with Tilray. What did I make? I think I made $5,000 in like 14 days with Tilray. So this is not, we're seeing these things happen.
Okay.
So what I would say is choose a strategy and stick to it. Okay. So if your strategy is that you are going to not learn anything about investing, and you're going to copy and paste, which is a strategy, meaning that you're going to copy and paste portfolios, then you need to take your butt and get into every platform where they're talking. So you need to make sure that you're on Robinhood and Friends. You need to make sure you're on People Who Invest. You need to make sure that you're on Facebook. You need to get into as many groups as possible, and then also get on Reddit and Twitter and follow these people that you can copy and paste if that's what you decide to do. I'm not suggesting that that's what you do, because y'all know I am a fiduciary, but I'm saying that is one option. So you can copy and paste and join these groups. Other thing that you could possibly do is that and that's for somebody that's trading. That's a trading technique. If somebody wants to copy and paste a portfolio, it can be trading or investing, but you can be able to do that and see where that goes. I hope it work out for you. Okay. The other way that you could be able to do is that if you are looking for long-term investing, then you also have to consider the fact that a lot of the stocks that have become a part of our new normal are on sale. They're discounted, right? So a lot of these companies that we're using on a regular basis, our Netflix, our Zooms, our cannabis products, who are essential. All of those are on sale right now. So these companies that are only doing 50 to 75% increase, but they have become a part of our new world, this might be a good time for you to be able to look at them.
Okay. And Matt told us that we're getting feedback. Did you get that?
Yeah. You know what? And let me see if we got some questions. I haven't seen too many questions on this one. Thanks for breaking it down. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So we making sure y'all make sure y'all hit like and share, because this part of the segment is almost over. But if you have some questions, we will be doubling back so that we can get back to make sure that we're talking about everything. Now, one other thing that I want to say right now.
How does this relate to cannabis?
Yes, so that's where I was going to go. So in the stock market right now, we have definitely still been seeing a lot of the big boys in Canada stocks kind of struggling. And so if someone is actually really looking for higher increased stocks in the cannabis space, they're American companies.
Okay.
Right. So our cannabis companies in all over the world are from Canada. One of the things is a lot of them are barely showing the profits that they really should have. And I think a lot of them had the expectation of coming in and consolidating and really kind of taking over the US. Didn't happen. So the US has really, really rallied around its own companies. It's Cresco Labs, it's True Leaves. Even though that those companies had some struggle coming before, we're really seeing them kind of spearhead, and they're getting it right. They're getting it right. So one of the things right now, you might want to look at, hedging your bet between American and Canadian companies. American companies that are publicly traded in cannabis are outperforming cannabis companies that are Canadian by miles. We smoking a lot of weed, y'all.
Okay. So if I want to get it, if I'm in Michigan, What
Yep.
are the opportunities for me to get in and invest if I don't want to, if I'm not comfortable with the stock market and investing there from a cannabis side? Are there other vehicles that I can do to get involved and invest in, say, companies in Michigan that
You
are
trying to make me
cannabis
smile?
companies? Yes, yes, I am.
So the best way, well, this is coming. Hopefully, we got about another 90 days before it will be up and running. I'm hoping. But we are constructing the Michigan marijuana market, right? And so I want to tell y'all, like, this is my baby. I'm so excited to be working with the Michigan Marijuana Regulatory Agency on this. If you guys Google, you can Google, you'll be able to find stuff about me, and this has been a journey. So one of the things that we gotta know is that with us having the internet, God and Google, we get a chance to have conversations and be able to invest in ways that were never done before, right? So when I talked to you guys before about accredited investors, those opportunities were like investing in startups, and that's where the real money is made, right? Being able to invest in neighborhoods and real estate, all of these different things. And so now we are all having this conversation, right? So we're either in clubhouse groups, we're talking to our friends, we're talking to all of these people about all of these different ways that we can invest. And one of the things that I was passionate about was one, creating a pathway for minority businesses to raise money. Even our smallest license in Michigan is going to take an investment of about $750,000, right? And then also, I wanted to create an opportunity for local residents to be able to participate in the green rush, even if they did not want to touch the plant. What were the investment opportunities? So we came up with the Michigan marijuana market, which is a local stock market. This is a stock exchange that will look just like NASDAQ. It's a national stock exchange. Qualified businesses will be able to be listed. People in the state of Michigan will be able to buy shares in this company. They have 12 months to be able to raise up to $1 million, and then the investor can hold it for 6 months and trade it on a secondary offering, or they can be able to keep it for a year and longer and become owners. So this is a way that we can not only create generational wealth, but also buy back our hood.
Okay, okay, all right. So
Look,
now that
every
I'll
time I
have a
talk about it, I
local.
start doing the money dance. I do the money dance. I do the money dance.
So now folks in Michigan can, if they want to, they see their companies that are operating in
Mm-hmm.
Muskegon, in Detroit, in
Yep.
Flint, but then also up in Cadillac, up in Iron Mountain, up in
What is it?
Escanaba.
78 municipalities that we got?
So it's 241 who've opted in out
Mhm.
of 1,776.
No, 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 no. Our racial equity, because these companies are only in our racial equity area. How many racial equity areas do we have? Municipalities?
So I believe 78. So that actually
78.
raises a good question
Mm-hmm.
because we're both on the task force
Right.
that help come up with the whole suite of
Mm-hmm.
ideas. Now, so let's say I'm a minority owned company that's
Mm-hmm.
operating in a city on the
Mm-hmm.
medical side that's not one of the social equity cities.
Okay.
Would I be able to participate in the market, and would people that may want to invest in me be able to buy shares in me through the market?
Not as it stands and not when we start off, right? So when we're starting off, this is an initiative for the racial equity program expanding, right? And so the key to it is, as we're talking about the hedge funds and we're talking about everything else, it's about building confidence, right? And so how do we build confidence? One, we have the support of the state of Michigan. That's amazing, right? In addition to that, we have qualifications that people have to make, to be able to be listed. Everybody can't be listed. And then also we have to have the confidence of the investors, making sure that we put some ramifications qualifications behind them. There's a limited amount for them to be able to invest coming in. And so we do all of this to create a protection or a confidence around what we're doing. And so we want to start off small, right? So how do you build confidence? You get some wins.
Okay.
Right? So us listing every damn weed business in the state of Michigan, that's a losing battle, right? We want to create a pathway where confidence can be done, and that although there is no surety in risk, right? I mean, in any risk or investment, but we want to be able to make sure that these are qualified businesses and entities that will do right, not just by the money, but also by the investors.
Okay.
So this is key for us not to just this is not a crowdfunding portal. Somebody called it a crowdfunding portal. I told them that's an insult, your mama.
So that's why I say, so if you're a, like I say, if you're an African American owned company that
Mhm.
is already
In the racial
operating,
equity zone, so you got to
but
qualify for
but
that.
no, but remember, we've got some in the medical side that aren't in social equity cities. So
Mhm.
that's what I was saying for those
No,
companies. So would we want to expand
no,
at a
not in
certain
the
point?
beginning. You don't. We're not casting a big net. We have to have the confidence first. No.
Okay.
So as can it expand? Yes, but as a listing, you have to understand. Just like we're having this issue, think about the magnitude of this issue with GameStop of somebody of a bunch of people just trading and going and it's going ham. Money does not work like that. We can't. That's why there you have to qualify to be listed on certain exchanges. This is no different.
Okay.
You can't just, you know what I mean? You can't just, there are certain reasons why certain companies are on the over the counter. They're not regulated. So there are opportunities for them. This just isn't.
Okay. Okay. All right. I get
Yeah.
that now, and hopefully as we go forward we can, because one of the things that I
We
know,
can, yeah, but
we're
we need
we're
some wins right
we're
now.
still only about 51% of the 241 communities that have opted in for recreational.
Right.
And unless we, and that's actually, guys, another thing that came out of our committee was adding language for racial equity and social equity
Mhm.
to the medical marijuana laws so that you can formally expand that. A lot of
Mhm.
communities have done it in their own ordinance,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily something that's a part of the state program. So
Right.
if you're one of those medical only cities, which there still are 49% that are,
Mhm.
we're coming for you to create and open up social and racial equity formally as well.
And I think it's an evolution. People have to understand you got to get a win, especially when you're talking about money. You know, money is based on the confidence. The only reason why a dollar bill of any kind has any weight is because that's we believe it's worth 100 pennies. Once you dilute that and you get away from that, it doesn't. So moving forward, when we're looking at these entities that are in opportunity zones, that are in neighborhoods that we're considering racial equity, that we're having a newer conversation of being able to invest. All of those things take a lot of TLC. You have no, I mean, you know how much love and stroking I'm gonna have to do, going in to be able to even sell this idea to the community. Us creating I can create this pathway, I can create this statue. It doesn't mean a hill of beans if I don't have successes. If I don't have people that are great businesses and investors who are participating, we're even putting a cap on how much you can invest. You can only invest 5% of your income. That is because we don't want anybody getting too overzealous and the market crashing because it's being, because it's not being utilized correctly. So this hedge fund thing, this is what I'm dealing with every day. You know what I'm saying? There has to be buffers in there for me to make this a success. That's why the hell I'll be up at 2 o'clock in the goddamn morning.
So you got a couple of questions that have come in, and I know we'll
Cool.
go to
Yeah,
that
I didn't check them.
shortly.
You
We've
wanna
got
hit? You
one
wanna
that
hit them?
says,
Can you hit them?
yes, so one is from Erica, and she wants to know, would there be opportunities for beginners to learn the basics of the stock market before joining the local initiative? And then
Uh,
another one is from
uh,
Kevin. I would
let's
be
take. Hold
interested
on.
in.
Let me take one at a time. Let me
Okay,
take
so
one
let's
at
go
a
with
time.
Erica's.
Yeah, I mean, so learning basic principles in investing is going to be key to any form of success. I mean, understand this. Y'all got one thing that I want y'all to know, and I'm gonna tell you like this, and I'm not even a sports person, but you can't win no game if you don't know the rules.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you go out there and you say you're gonna play football. Y'all, I just learned what the line of scrimmage was probably about 2 years ago. It's 11 people, it's 22 people out there. They all got on the same damn outfit. I only watch it during Super Bowl. It's too much for me. I got ADD. I don't need it in my life. It's too much. I don't need it.
Okay.
But I could not play, but I played powder puff when I was in high school. And I remember, I was the cornerback. I had a good arm. I had a good arm. But the point of it is that you cannot be successful in any game if you don't know the rules of the game, right? So you got to know some basic things to be able to participate. That's the first thing. Now, is that mandatory? No. But if I was going to invest my money in a startup company, I would want to know some basic things that go on. Now, will we there will be like an online video where you can understand, what your money is, where it's going, and how the system works. But that will probably be the extent of that. And then I will be touring if the world opens up, or y'all gonna just watch me online. I'll be touring and targeting businesses that want to come into the market, and then it is their job to get you guys to invest in them. That's not my job.
So, and also we got two other questions that relate
Sure.
to doing this in other markets. So we've got one from Kevin
Uh-huh.
is interested in duplicating the Michigan marijuana market in California, and
You
one from
can't.
Tatum.
You can't. So first of all, let me holler at you. You could create a portal, but you guys do not have the legal legislation to be able to do that, right?
So what I was going to say though, jump in, because then we also got Tatum from Texas, same thing. So here's what I was going to say. So guys, here's what can be done. You have to create legislation that allows for this sort of locally controlled stock market to exist. Now, it can exist for any industry type. Michigan put it on the books in 2015, which was basically bringing back something that used to exist in Michigan and in other states, which was local stock exchanges.
So
As
with that being said, we know you don't have the provisions in Michigan, and there's only two other states that do it. So you don't have the provisions. Go ahead.
but
What's the
we
next
could
question? The
But we
next
could work
question
with you.
is the
But we
next
could work
question
with you to
is
try to do it in California.
okay, thanks.
All right. And so the next question is, uh, oh, okay. So now that was still Kevin. And then, yeah, so we got a couple of other comments in terms of the breaking down, well, wanting us to get away from the using the terms of green rush and the fact that cannabis is medicine, not a resource to exploit, and talk about
Who said
sustainable
that? Who
industries.
said
So
that?
that's Mary Jane, and
Okay, good. I would love to. I want to address you, Miss Mary. First
and
of
I
all,
want to too. Let me jump in
uh-huh.
first.
No,
Let me jump
oh,
in
okay,
first.
but wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute, Miss Mary. First of all, I want you to understand that the reason why we use the green rush is because social media will not allow us to just say cannabis, it gets target. That's the first thing. The second thing is that your comment is extremely disrespectful due to the disparity of individuals who have been targeted by the war on drugs. Now, I appreciate the fact that you are using it as a medical sentiment, but there are also individuals that are using it as recreational. And if you think at one point that people of color should not be able to discuss making money in a industry that has destroyed communities, you are sadly mistaken. Have a great day.
So my comment, a little bit different, was to Mary Jane and understanding the dynamic that you're talking about in terms of the indigenous communities and what they have dealt with as well in terms of exploitation. We do have to look at the structure, and that gives a great dovetail into Matt's conversation, because this is an industry. There's opportunities for ownership, and we have to talk through how do we structure it so that Indigenous, Native Americans, African Americans, Latino Americans can create ownership opportunities and be owners and benefit from it. There's employment opportunities, and there's also opportunities to be a vendor and a supplier to the industry. So we do talk about this in terms of it being a commercial industry, because it is. It would be a loss of opportunity if we don't talk about the opportunities for people of color to benefit from the economic side of this industry. Understanding and appreciating the holistic view that you have, and that's a part of it.
It's very limited and it's very
We
disrespectful to
do
people
have
of
to
color.
be focused on, well, she's Native American, so she's one of us. She's one of our
No, no,
sisters.
no, 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 no. And there's a lot of people of color that are still disrespectful or whatever. But to be able to say that I mean that it is extremely disrespectful that people of color should not participate or be able and that. I mean, are you saying that to Pfizer?
And I think it's part of the education why we do this, because we
This
want to
is
help
this
everybody
is.
understand that this is a industry that we can benefit from, that can give return to our communities, and we do have to be intentional in doing both. So I think that kind of leads to a great.
Let's lead to Matt because that got under my skin for
Okay,
real.
all right. So
So
let's.
we're gonna lead over to Matt, Miss Mary Jane.
Okay, so all
All
right, all right. So go
right, go ahead and
ahead.
take it.
All right, so Matt, we're gonna shift to, because the economic side of the industry, there's the employment side, and in the employment side, not everybody is going to be an owner. Not everybody is going to have a business that provides. Oh, we got some feedback. Simone, if you turn down the volume, I think you got it on your phone. If you
Oh,
turn
I
the
just turned it
volume.
down. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
Matt, and we know not everybody's going to have a separate business that's a supplier. So let's dig into employment in commercial marijuana. Talk about some of the, in your company and what you do in this particular space. So tell us a little bit about how you got started trying to address the employment pathway for people in commercial marijuana.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks, Simone, and thanks, Eric, for having me. I mean, it feels like back in the day, like I've just been over here cracking up because it's been a minute since I've seen the Simone Eric dynamic.
Oh, the three of us. Everybody
Yeah,
doesn't know that we used to hang out a lot in like 2017. We had a project that we were working on, so we were seeing each other like every week. So
yeah,
we haven't gotten together in a minute. So this is funny.
yeah, yeah. I'm loving it. I mean, it's just so good. It's a good balance between educational and like amusing. I, yeah. So when it comes to opportunities in cannabis, the truth is that it's not a level playing field, and it's not a level playing field for people of color, and it's not a level playing field for people that have been affected or are socially economically disadvantaged.
Mhm.
That's the truth. It's not right, and there are people and their organizations that are here to help offset that. And I think that what Simone is doing with investing in general and then providing education for investment, because it is a great opportunity to get that mailbox money and better your position. I think that's
Did you
fantastic.
just
But
quote Nipsey Hussle? I love it. Matt is the coolest. He just quoted Nipsey Hussle. I love it.
yeah, what can I
Go
say? Yeah.
ahead.
So when we think about opportunity in general, it, I think that we look back historically at some of the big wins. And one of the biggest wins of all time was the dot-com bubble. And that was typically white people that didn't have beards, that lived in Silicon Valley, that had money, that had connections. So
Yeah.
by and large, there weren't a lot of people that had a big win. The people that were in it won big, they won huge, and now they're at the helm of some of the bigger companies that we know today. But by and large, it didn't really affect us. Where the opportunity in cannabis is that you don't need experience per se, and we can get into that in a little bit. You don't need an education. It, it helps for sure, but it's not required.
Okay.
And all it takes to get into this opportunity is a willingness to get in. I mean, seriously, like standing at the edge of the pool and deciding I'm going to participate and jumping in. And that levels the playing field for future entrepreneurship, for future legacy wealth, for improving one's station now and over the future, where a lot of the bench, a lot of the high marks that are required to improve your life, they just aren't here in cannabis. And the number one way from my view, and there's multiple ways to do this, and Cimone was talking about her lane earlier, but from my perspective, the best way to do that is through employment and get in now. And what we've seen through our private company and through our nonprofit, which I have a company called handgrown.jobs, hand like your hand, grown like plants.jobs. It's like the Indeed of weed. What we've seen is people that get in that don't have experience, that don't have education. There was a guy that came from automotive and he got in and he's been promoted 3 times in the last year and a half. He's making about $30,000 a year more. And probably in the next 6 months, he'll be in charge of the whole western side of Michigan for a pretty large operation. And so when we think about that, like he worked in automotive in Detroit. He didn't know anything about weed other than smoking it, and that he wanted to be a part of this movement. And
Okay.
so the opportunities are abound. And the real opportunity is for people that want to be the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. And so the best way to learn how to do a job is to do the job and get on the job training and develop a network and develop people where if I need policy advice, I just call Eric. Hey, Eric, what about this and that? And he's like, yo, Matt, this is that. If I need some financial advice, I just call Cimone. So that's the power of being in the space is you get to know other movers and shakers. You get to know what's going on, but also you get a first-rate education of what it's really like in these businesses behind closed doors, which you're getting paid for. And you can in turn stack your money, take advantage of some other money generating opportunities, but you get that experience to where you could in a few years not only have the experience on your resume, the notches on your belt, but you could have some money that you could put together and participate in actually owning a business. So that's at a very high level where I see the opportunities in cannabis.
And actually, Matt, that does tie into one of the things that came out of our racial equity task force for the state. It's the social equity employment to ownership pathway, where one of the ideas that was brought to us by a couple members on my committee, a subcommittee, and that came out of my subcommittee, was to address how do you take people who can be owners, get them through employment, those skills to run a business, and then have a pathway for them to become a licensee after an 18 to 24-month period of time. So that dovetails in greatly. Tell us a little bit more about our cannabis and also your website, because we do have someone that's interested in finding you online from our discussion point. But tell us a little bit more about our cannabis and what you're doing.
Yeah. So for the website, ourcannabis.org, go there, check it out. It's laid out basically what we do. And what we do in a very simple nutshell is we help people get jobs in the cannabis field. We're ushers, we're people stewarding people into the field. And what we found was through handgrown.jobs, we were very quickly inundated with people that needed help making a resume or practicing for an interview or making a cover letter or answering questions of, hey, I grew in my basement. Should I put that on my resume? And the answer is yes, by the way. It's just, there's such a lack of information about cannabis in general, and even more so around getting a job in cannabis. We still get questions from people of, am I going to be arrested? Am I going to be paid a fair wage? Am I going to get a W-2? Will I have insurance? What happens if I have a grievance? all the normal stuff that goes on in everyday business, people just don't know about in cannabis. So we found that's how we met. Was our cannabis formed initially to take on some social justice issues, primarily the automatic expungement. And we found over time that that I was better suited in my lane, and that's okay. And so other people came in, you guys continued the work, and I peeled off and focused back on workforce development. And so what we do is at no cost to the community members. Like, all of this stuff is no cost. It's covered by charitable donations, philanthropic,
I think that's the dopest thing, that all of the services are totally free
totally free.
to everyone.
Yeah, totally
Cool.
free. And so we'll take people, for example, we had a master grower at the end of last year who, the guy was a master grower without a doubt. And I know that because I've been growing for 11 years. I've won multiple cannabis caregiver cups in Michigan back to back to back. I've owned an industrial warehouse. I started one of the first dispensaries and longest lasting dispensaries in West Michigan. And so I know cannabis. I just know it because that's what I did for my entire professional life. And so it's kind of like when two chefs get together in the kitchen or two car mechanics start talking, they can tell where they're at. They can speak the language. And that's what I can do with people that have worked in cannabis that are trying to get in. Well, this guy, Dane, came to us and he had a 7-page resume, single space, 12-point font. And I was just like, dude, there's no way that anyone's going to read this. Like, I could tell that Dane was a master grower because I speak the language, but he was passed up time and time again by hiring managers that don't know what I know. And that's a detriment to the community. That's a detriment to Dane. That's a detriment to the businesses, because these businesses need people that have his skills, because it's a rare skill right now.
Yeah.
And so we brought him in, redid his resume, prepped him for interviews, walked him through negotiations. And by the time we were done, well, before we were done with him, he had 3 competing job offers, 2 from 2 companies that had previously rejected him. And so he was able to be in a position where he leveraged them against each other and got a better salary. He got better flex time. He got insurance more quickly. He was able to really strengthen his position because he was able to just translate what I knew, what was apparent to me, and made it apparent to people that don't necessarily know cannabis. So that's really what we do, is we take people who should be working in cannabis because they know it, that otherwise don't have a shot because resumes are tough. Think about the last time you had to write a resume.
Right.
It probably
I
sucked.
haven't.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Asked
I
me,
mean,
do I have
when
a
you
resume?
said
I said, no, I own a business. I don't have no.
when you said the 7-pager, that felt like he went to the Eric Foster School of resume writing and career profiling, because I actually have a media profile that's about 20 pages of things that I've done and successes. I got a lot to say, guys,
I know.
but I'm glad you helped him condense it, because that's a struggle for me. My friend at Boss Lloyd, he is, since I don't have my second ex-wife, he's my translator in chief,
Okay.
because he helps condense me into sound bites and bullet points.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
I love it. So
Matt, what are
listen,
some?
Matt, I got a question. So
Oh,
if
go ahead,
somebody,
Cimone.
so you talked about, individuals who already have a background in cannabis. But
Yeah.
what if somebody is new and they like, okay, listen, I have a job in quality control, or I have a job in I've been in manufacturing, or I've been doing this, but it was not in the green rush. It was not in the cannabis industry. At that point, what do you tell them?
Oh, welcome. Come on in. Seriously, welcome. We need you. And when people think about working in cannabis, it's sort of like an iceberg. You see the tip of the iceberg, but the mass of it's all underwater. And so when people think about working in cannabis, it's bud tenders, it's growers, it's those kind of tropes, it's those stereotypical positions. But the truth is, the cannabis industry is an industry.
Yes.
And so it has every role that every industry has. And take a moment and wrap your mind around that, because there's a ton of roles that I can't even think of, but that are critical to the function of those businesses and to the industry as a whole. And so to the people, and we get a lot of these people, people who have quality control, which is, by the way, if you're in quality control, that's the worst kept secret in cannabis.
Hold on, wait a minute. You say it's the best or it's the worst?
It's the worst kept secret, because everybody needs to know. If you have worked in quality control, oh my God, you got a golden ticket to get a job in cannabis, because
are you serious?
Oh yeah,
do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? If you have worked in quality control, that is an easy gateway into cannabis. Yeah. I never knew that. Well, maybe I did, and I never thought about it.
But let's break it down a little bit, because cannabis is a highly compliant, highly regulated business. And so someone who's in QC understands processes, understands protocols, understands how to implement them, understands how to communicate them without starting a fight. They understand how to keep a business in ship shape. And that's the name of the game in cannabis. That's really what it is just making sure that everything is compliant. So if you're in a position like that, then come right in. The real question is, well, okay, I other than smoking a joint every once in a while or eating a gummy at the end of the day, I don't really know anything about cannabis. Does that stop me from, should I apply? And the answer is yes, of course. You don't have to know a lot about cannabis to work in cannabis, because more often than not, there are people that have specific expertise that are on the team. So what the cannabis companies need is kind of like a piece of Swiss cheese. They need people to come in and fill specific gaps. That way it's a whole block. And so if you've got human resources experience or security experience or compliance or executive or accounting or payrolling or a multitude of other positions, then apply. Absolutely, because the companies need them. Now, what we see is there's a launch pattern, and more often than not, what happens is you have the executive team that launches the business, and they're exhausted because they're doing 9 different things at once. And then they bring in their team members, their floor team members, their bud tenders, their general managers, their assistant general managers, and then they start filling in the middle ranks. And the Michigan market is at the point now where we have enough viable businesses to where we're seeing entry-level positions, and we're starting to see those middle-level positions come in in a meaningful way, to where it's not just a couple jobs. We're starting to see multiple jobs offering. So if you want in, now is the time. And whatever you've done in your past work life, bring it with you, because it has value, and you don't necessarily need cannabis specific experience.
Now I got one last question, and then Eric, you can ask Matt a question. So as you talk to more and more employers, right? If you had to give somebody one piece of advice, right? What is that key thing that like 90% of the employers are looking for? What's that one thing? One thing.
Yeah. Okay. So
if you can name it, name it.
Yeah, a genuine one. Everyone in the industry is passionate. That's the baseline. Nobody's in cannabis because they have to be. Everyone's here because they choose to be, which creates a positive culture. But the number one piece of advice, besides making a resume and coming to our cannabis workshops because they're free and they'll definitely help you get a job, shameless plug, is be curious, ask questions. Interviewers, recruiters, hiring managers love when they're sitting across from somebody and they say, hey, how do you retain your employees? What's the attrition rate? How many people have come and quit? You say that this is your guys' motto. Well, how do you walk the walk and not just talk the talk? If you are curious, if you do your research, and do your research, Google the company, connect with people on LinkedIn, look at their Facebook page, and just get familiar with the company, and then come armed with questions. And there's no stupid questions, because the hiring managers, they know that most people just don't know a lot of stuff about cannabis. And so ask questions, and that will show a curiosity, that will show an initiative, and that will show an effort. And if you in cannabis, the number one way to get a job is to put effort in. If you are putting effort in, then people recognize that and they're drawn to it because there's a ton of work to do and they like seeing people put that energy in. So get curious and ask questions. Do your research.
And I think that goes from the investing, that goes to the entrepreneurship, that goes to everything.
Yeah.
That goes to everything.
So Matt, quick question.
Yep.
What other skills do you believe are that would be easily transferable from other industries? Because as I've always couched commercial marijuana, I've likened it to the manufacturing industry, automotive industry, because you've got the grower who is the one part of, say, the manufacturing plant. So they're the OEM. Then you've got the processor who's like the aftermarket supplier who adds other products. Then you've got the testing, which is R&D. You've got the logistics, which are your transporters and haulers. And then finally, you got your retail, which is like your car dealership. So what other skills are easily transferable for job opportunities in this industry?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I answer that question, we have to break it down in the way that you did. And so we'll just take it sector by sector. So the hardest one to get into is the laboratories, the safety compliance. That's not typically something that somebody could just walk in and just say, hey, I love cannabis. I just want to be here. You have to have a technical proficiency and usually some advanced degrees more often than not in science and hard science and chemistry and analytics. So if a person wanted to work in a safety compliance facility, which is just a confusing name, it's just a lab, then using your hard science degrees and education is the best way to get into that. The next would be processing. And I would say that if we're going to go down from easiest to most difficult, from most difficult to easiest, then the next one would be processing. And processing, again, you're dealing with solvents and solutes and high pressure, and things can kind of go wrong. There's, depending on what processes are being used, there can be a fire hazard. It's a pretty controlled environment, and again, it's hard science. A little bit easier to get into. People that are from the traditional industry like me, if you have experience, then by all means, that's where to go. But a lay person that doesn't know anything, that's kind of like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, that would be, you could get in if a company had a strong educational pathway. If they said, look, we need to develop the workforce and we've got this training process, ergo like a informal apprenticeship.
One of just to piggyback on that, one of my clients, Rareco, they have I want to shout them out. Have you heard about them, Matt?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to shout them out. Rareco is in Bay City, Michigan. They just opened up in Muskegon, Michigan. But one of the things that I love is that they took on so they have they're going to be at our Info Michigan boot camp, but they took on a thing where like even the bud tenders go out to where their major grow is. Like they have this big field trip, right? Like every quarter or whatever. They really want the people there to learn the process. And then they move them around, right? So you're not in the same place, and they really want to groom a group of individuals. Now, the cool thing about it is that the owners are two guys, right? And so their daughter, one of the guys, I think his daughter is like the head of operations. But all of the stakeholders, all of the people that they have hired that are like the decision makers, all of them are women, not necessarily women of color, but all of them are women, and they issued them all shares of the company.
Nice.
I thought that was really cool. And mind you, some of these women had never been in cannabis. They were leveraging their relationship like quality control and a bunch of other stuff. So it is out there. It is out there. It's out there for people to make it.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And there are most certainly, like, that's not a standalone story. There are other stories like that. And I think that
yeah.
Rareco is a prime example of when you're looking in the space of like, where do I think is a good company? Well, stories like that, I would be attracted to Rareco because it's like, okay, they're investing in me,
Yeah.
so I want to put into them. And
Right.
those are things that you want to look for if you're looking for a job. To wrap up Eric's original question, grow facilities are another place where if you're a caregiver, by all means come in, get a W-2, get insurance,
Mm-hmm.
stop getting your door kicked in because it's gonna get so real, guys. The money is gonna come out of this market in the next couple of years. And
Didn't
the
I just say that,
penalties,
Eric?
Yes. Yes.
the
24
penalties
months.
for running afoul of MMA or MRTMA or MMFLA, man, you're gonna get stroked harder and worse than ever. And you're not gonna like it. Promise me, dudes. I just come in seriously, and you can make a good salary. You can live on it. Are you gonna be driving a Ferrari? No, but are you driving a Ferrari right now? No. So stop playing and come in. Okay, so there's my rant on the growers. But
That's what, but and in most cases, those same jobs that are leveraged into the green rush, the cannabis companies are paying a premium. So you're
yeah,
seeing an increase in most cases. If you were a web designer in a regular, and then you took on a contract or whatever, there's definitely a premium, and you're making a little bit more in whatever industry, whatever sector or vendor or even job that you're doing. You're seeing an increase.
and that comes over time. And what we see is when a company launches, and I've seen this with a couple companies we work with, and I love them for it. They've gone to their employees and they said, "Hey, look, we're running out of cash. We're scrambling to get open. Can we pay you? I know we said we pay you 65. Can we pay you 40 for a couple months and then step you back up to 65 and then give you a bonus?" And that's a big ask. It really is, and that's a lot of faith and trust. And people did it. They said, "Yeah, okay, we'll ride with you," and it worked out. And that's why I continue to do business with those people. And I have to say that it's my company's prerogatives to choose who we do business with. So anybody that we are working with, we stand by as community partners, and we're not going to send you some hellhole where they're going to treat you bad.
That's where it should be.
So, but as far as like how to get in and the easiest points of entry with a grow facility, if you're a grower, oh my God, you have a golden ticket, come in. And we can help translate your experience onto a resume that someone who doesn't know about cannabis can recognize your value. That's a big thing. We work with a ton of growers. And as far as getting into a grow facility, if you don't have any experience, but you just have a green thumb and you have like a little herb garden or tomatoes, that is surprisingly transferable. It's applicable. And so there are good entry level positions for people that want to get in the garden because they'll partner someone who doesn't know anything with someone like me who's done it my entire life. And I would teach you, okay, this is how we tell if a plant's overwatered or not. So that's a good opportunity. The easiest point of entry is in retail, and people that
Bud tender or no?
What's that?
Bud tender or no?
Well, yeah, that runs. Here's the thing about being a bud tender: it's highly competitive.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm glad you said that. So y'all heard that. You heard that.
Yeah, being a bud tender, if you have any other skills, I usually try to steer people away from being a bud tender because I'll say, "Oh, well, you have these skills and you haven't thought about this job. So, does this interest you? Okay, then if it does, then why don't we go over here because you don't have to deal with the I mean, it's a gladiator pit to become a bud tender. And because everybody wants to be a bud tender because that's the only job people think of in retail. But
that's the first thing that if I go to like one of my local restaurants or whatever,
right.
I've had probably 3 of my favorite waitresses, especially due to COVID, have gone on to become bud tenders. Or they were bartenders or something before, and y'all know I love gin and tonic. And the first thing they tell me, they say, "Cimone, guess what? I got a job at a dispensary." I said, "Really? What you doing?" "I'm a bud tender." They can't wait to tell me. And I'm like, who's gonna make my gin and tonic? I gotta try it on this person.
Oh, yeah, but you hit it right on the head, Cimone, with people that have worked in hospitality and hotels.
Yeah. I lost 3 of my best girls.
Well, there you go. That's proof positive right there. That all you have to do is learn. If you know customer service and you know how to run a point of sale system, you just have to learn cannabis and the different products, and then you're good. But another really good area is assistant general managers and general managers. So
I bet you that pays good.
if you've managed, well, yeah, but it pays more, but also you're higher on the totem pole for when the companies expand, because most of the cannabis companies in Michigan, they get in and they go, wait a minute, we figured this out. Let's go open another store.
Yes.
And so when you get to
Isn't
that,
the narrative? Listen, one of my clients I picked up, they had 2 places, and immediately they said, "Oh, just so you know, we have another one that's opening up in Kalamazoo in May, and then we got another one that's opening." So I said, "Oh, okay." So yeah, everybody is moving.
Yeah, and it for the business owners and for the job seekers, the hardest part about cannabis is getting in. Once you're in, then you go, oh, okay, there's a learning curve, but okay, now I can start doing some other things. So the real opportunities are if you have managed an Arby's or a family video or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you've managed people, done scheduling, and done stocking and inventory and things like that, then oh my God, get in, because the real opportunity is becoming a general manager, and then that company opens another store in Detroit and another one in Hamtramck and another one in Bay City. Well, they know you've been with them, so they're going to need somebody to oversee those operations. That could be you, and that means a higher salary, that means more flexibility, that means you're out of the day-to-day grind. And so that leads me to my next point, and that negotiate your salary and get everything in writing. I mean it. I've seen the good and I've seen the bad. And,
why is that so critical, Matt?
Well,
why is it? Yeah. Oh, you really gotta. No, I think he should explain that though. That's a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it's critical because it holds the employer accountable. It holds them up where you can say, hey, look, we signed this, and you said in 6 months I was going to be measured by this, and this, and if I met or exceeded these things, then you were going to give me a 10% raise. It's a way to physically say, hey, look, you gave me your word right here, and we agreed, and I need you to honor it. And if they don't, then that tells you everything you need to tell about that company. And I would say, look for the door, because when you work in cannabis, the day you start working in regulated cannabis, doesn't matter what state it is, your stock goes from here to here. It's off. It's off. And the longer that you're in cannabis, the more value you have. Think about it. The more experience, the more network, the more value you get through educating yourself. And so don't think that if you're at a company that's not treating you well, or you're not happy, that you're stuck and you don't have options. You most certainly do. And that's something that we're more than happy to help you with. And so getting that in writing is a way to lock someone into their commitments to you and you to them. And it's important to spell out and say, okay, if I'm a grower, then I get my production bonus if we grow an extra 100 pounds. Okay, well, how am I being measured on the outputs here? And then also, what is the scope of authority? What's the scope of power that I have? If my performance bonus kicks in and it's based on how much weed we grow, well, if I don't have the authority to turn the lights on, if I don't have the authority to buy the right nutrients or to put more plants in the ground or to buffer a solution to what I know it should be, then I'm never going to hit that performance bonus. And so we have to say, within the roles and responsibility, this is what I do. I'm here to grow cannabis in this facility, not all the facilities. I'm here to grow cannabis in this facility. And these are the ways that I'm going to be measured. And this is the authority that I have. And then here are the here are the circuit breakers for when I need to come and talk to you and say, hey, I want to put more lights in this greenhouse. It's going to be $20,000. Is that cool? There has to be some level of definition of power. And what I've seen is, and this is at big companies too, this isn't just mom and pops. Mom and pop's a little more relevant, but the bigger companies they're just better at hiding the deficiencies than mom and pop shops are. And so what we see is with the companies that we work with is that the leadership will say, oh, we didn't even think of that. We just didn't even right over our heads. And I'll give people the benefit of the doubt and I'll watch what they do. And more often than not, that's the case because they're just swamped with a ton of things going on. So when you're dealing with somebody, give them the benefit of the doubt and then just watch their actions. But by all means, negotiate for your salary and then try to get multiple job offers. If you've got like Dane did, he had multiple job offers. So he was able to, not being an asshole or anything about it, but he was able to say, hey, look,
they're offering me,
yeah,
people want me. That's what you
right.
got to tell them. People want me.
I want to work with you because I like you, your culture, your commute, whatever. But the truth is they're offering me 10 grand more a year. Can you offer me 7 or 8? Let's work together. So you want to get yourself in the best position possible, and we can help you with that.
That's good. That's what I was going to ask.
Get things in writing for sure. And then do your homework on these companies and ask questions. And that's the best position that you could get yourself in is, to get these jobs. But
so in a nutshell, guys, to be real, just like any other industry, this is a serious industry.
Very serious.
Requires you to not play around. If you're interested in employment, ask questions, get with a trusted resource. Matt, we've had a couple more requests for your company name and website.
Yes, and then can you type it? Do you have access to type it in I can type it in is it our Cannabis? Because I need to put it in the comments.
ourcannabis.org.
But I tagged him.
Okay.
What's the website?
I'm putting it in the chat, Cimone, so you can just copy it and paste it.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Make sure that you guys, if you're not following Mr. Matt Hoffmann, you must be crazy. If you're looking for, you got to be crazy. Oh no. It's not going. Will it show?
No. You'd have to copy it, Cimone, out of our chat.
Okay, there we go. Oh, y'all so smart. Damn. Look, I'm doing it.
So guys. So this is serious, and here's the thing. Understanding all different perspectives, and I do want to just say from my own end, a comment that was earlier made, I did not represent all of the details about the comment correctly, and that's my fault from Mary. I do apologize. That being said, this is a industry where, as Matt has just outlined, there's real opportunity here, but you have to treat it like that. You got to treat it no different than if you're going to work in the military industry, if you're going to work in higher education, if you're going to work in the automotive. It's real. There's opportunities for you to make a great living. There's opportunities for you to be promoted, and you have to go in and negotiate the rules of your job just like you would for any other industry. So do not just treat this as pie in the sky, but also do not treat this as something unserious, guys. There's real opportunity. One last question, Matt. What companies or what are you doing to help increase hiring of African Americans, Native American, Latino American, Arabic, Asian American, multiracial, some other ethnicity American, because we got all different people of color. What are you doing, and what companies are really trying to ensure that they hire not just at entry level, but hire people of color across the scales of employment?
Yeah, okay. So A couple companies I like: Loom, I like Gauge, I like Common Citizen.
I like, you know what? I like Bloom. I like all of the ones that you like. I
Yeah.
think that they're doing a good job.
And those are those are the biggest ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you think about the little boys? Do you have like any little ones, like the smaller guys that you feel like are really kind of trying to give back a little bit, or participate in racial equity? And mind you, these are the ones, we're all in Michigan, so
Yeah.
so we all work together throughout the state. So if you have a dispensary or a large manufacturer that you love, put it in the comments in your state so that other people can be able to see it. And so we're talking about Michigan because that's the footprint that we know. But if you know of a big entity that's doing it big in your state or in your municipality, please put it in the comments. But go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, and on that note too, because of the world we live in now, if we're working,
Right.
we're forming relationships with
Everybody.
with the state of Utah. Well, we're in the very beginnings of talking with the state of Utah,
Okay.
and I can't say anything about partnerships with the state of Michigan at this point. Um, I can't say anything formally about that at this point. In a couple weeks, I could say something. Okay, so
Because what we gonna have, Eric? Can we have him back?
Yes, no, definitely. We
love
need
to.
to have him
Well,
back.
the reason why I say have him back is because, as you said, Eric, one, and then I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. I'm a very tough cookie. All right. So I started my business with $400 and it's on track to be $1 million in revenue. So if you want nice and you want somebody to actually hug you or whatever, I'm not her, right? This is a very, very, this is a very serious business, right? And so you have to understand that when you get into cannabis, and I'm just trying to be honest with you, you are getting into the legalized dope game. Not only are you dealing with regulators, even as an employee, do you understand that you can go to work one day and they tell you that, oh, well, you can't touch the weed. You go to work the next day, regulatory. I mean, every day there is something different. And that's why Matt was saying about passion. People don't stay in this industry. It was years before any of us made some money. We started out together. We were broke for a very, very long time, right? With a hope and a prayer that this is going, and I'm saying, so again, this is not, if you want warm and fuzzy, go to Build-A-Bear. There's jobs at the candy department. You can do all of that. But if you want to be able to get down and get out, this is a very cutthroat business. It's moving very, very quickly. We are getting attacked by consolidation. You have public policy. You have major investors. This is not a place for the weak. So I know that one of the ladies said, "Oh, that she thought that I came off rude." I'm sorry that you felt like that, but this is the business that you in, right? It's not warm and fuzzy. When I go in and I talk to state senators or I talk to companies that are doing $5 million a month, they don't want a hug from me. They want results. And that's what these companies want. Every day you have to understand that your boss, if you're going into a business as an employee, do you know every day your boss is going in checking an email to make sure that they're in compliance. They're hoping that the state don't come in and shut them down and they take all of the money that they have invested. People are riding on this. So if you're looking for somebody to say, "Oh, social equity, I just want to give Black people some weed," I'm sorry, that ain't the party that you're going to attend.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think you bring up a really good point, Cimone, in that and sometimes I have to be careful because I feel like I'm selling sunshine and rainbows. The opportunities are amazing. You're going to be the best. And the truth is that it is what you make of it. And my focus is on helping people get in. So to answer Eric's original question, what am I doing? It's easy for me to find the bearded white folks because that's my tribe. That's that's who I run with.
Anyway.
And so for me, I know the communities that I'm not in. And so I've made a concerted effort to reach into those communities and to walk in and say, "Hey, I'm Matt Hoffmann. I got the bearded white folks, but I don't have the Black folks. I don't have the Mexican folks. I don't have the Filipino folks. Like you guys do. Okay. All I care about is opportunities for all, period. And you guys are all. So do you like me? Do you trust me? Do you believe in me? That's where we start. Do I like you? Do I trust you? Do I believe in you? That's
Right.
the next thing. And if the answers are yes, and they have to be, then I began forming a relationship. And so I've been forming relationships specifically with people on the east side of the state of Michigan because I'm on the west side, and that's that's a totally different world.
Yes,
So
it is.
I I'm
Lance
actively
and divides us
it
all.
it is right down the middle of the state. So I'm actively pursuing serious people that are community leaders that believe in the opportunities in cannabis and that want to help the people in their communities. That's the efforts that I'm making and the overtures that I'm making. So if you're one of those people and you think that we can work together and help people, then by all means message me, DM me, Instagram me, whatever, LinkedIn. I'm very accessible, and I'd love to talk to you about the ways that we can have a positive impact on the community.
And
But
then also, Matt has agreed to on March 27th, we are doing our M for MM. So we have our M for MM boot camp, which is the 13th and 14th, but we are, and that one is $149, where you can learn everything that you need to know from state regulations and everything else, uh, accounting, legal. That is going to be on the 13th and 14th. But we have a free event that is sponsored by our cannabis, where he will be talking about how to get your resume out there. We're also going to have a brief bud tending training, and then Margot will be on to talk about, and this is all about them. So y'all won't even see me and Eric. We'll be hanging out in the background, but this is a all day event, and it's totally free, and it's just about landing a job in the cannabis space. So we love that our cannabis is being a sponsor for that. And we appreciate that because that's something that he does not have to do. But he's so passionate about helping individuals that we were able to design this actual event, which is a Saturday, where he's going to really kind of kick game to you about how to get your resume, how to get. So all of the stuff that he's saying that they're doing, you can actually come in and it's free.
yeah, and thank you for that. I think that's awesome. And the biggest thing is just people knowing that these services are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's
Right.
no cost, and I can't stress that enough. There's at no point in time do I say, "Oh, okay, yo, you owe me $20." No, that's not how it works.
Right.
It's
And knowing that too, that this is an industry, I like something, thinking on a national level, something
Yep.
that Secretary Kerry mentioned when talking about the new Biden administration's push on environmental policy and environmental justice. When he said, you can't think of creating jobs in clean energy and in climate change and fixing the climate as either or. These are
Right.
going to be new jobs that
Mhm.
pay above living wage, that are going to give people new pathways for improving their life. So is the commercial marijuana industry, people. So is the commercial marijuana industry, people. I'm going to keep saying that.
Mhm.
I use the words intentionally because this is an industry that will create millions of jobs and will help improve the year to year incomes of lots of people who may not have been able to get other opportunities in other industries. And we have to be intentional about trying to push that
Intentional.
door open.
well, and
And
the
great.
time the
And we
time
have a
is
short
now.
window. We have a short window.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
another thing. People
the,
have to understand
yeah,
that as this locomotive starts to move, and that's one of the reasons I tell me and Eric talk about this all the time. I need wins. We need wins in our community. We don't have time for individuals who want to kick tires. You want to kick tires, that's fine. But we need people who are ready and willing to do the work and get in. And that will create a market share for us. We don't have the time to keep screaming racial equity and social equity, and we're not participating in doing what we need to do. We need wins. We have to be able to create a stake in this. So again, no, it's no time for warm and fuzzy. Nobody has time for that. No, we gotta get in. The window of opportunity is so short.
yeah.
So if you want to get into this market, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be an employee, if you want to be an investor, this is not the time for kicking tires. That's gone. That was 2017, 18, 19, 2021. You got to be ready and willing to go.
So, and I'm not going to get into this right now, but something that I've gotten for many years, and I still do, and I get questions too, is I get these training companies that say, "Yo, Matt, take a look at our training, and we'll give you 20% if you sell it to your people."
I'm
And
so
I
glad.
go, I'll read it, and then I go, this is garbage. This is predatory. No, I don't like you. Thank you for showing yourself to me, because now I can kick you forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the upcoming class later this month, I'll dive deeper into training programs, what I think about them, and which ones are worth it and which ones aren't. And I can tell you, probably the ones that you're thinking about aren't. The ones that you Google aren't. There's a lot of them out there that are just simply there to take your money, and they're not going to help you. So I go on for 2 hours about that. So
All
we're just
right. Well,
we're not
listen,
even
we
going to go there
have been
today.
here. This has been an amazing, amazing show. I hope everybody were able to get some information out of this. Definitely, we will be promoting on the boot camps on this page and on everybody else's page. Of course, I'm Cimone, Casson, and you are Eric.
Eric Foster, and we
Oh,
will be posting this so that you can, as we've started doing now, so that you'll be able to see it on background. If you didn't get a chance to watch it live, we will be setting it up so that you can see it continuously and it'll be on Banks and Companies page, on
okay.
my page, on
I love it.
Instagram and other pages as well, so that people can see it. And looking forward to next month, as Cimone mentioned.
Next month, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We don't know what the world may bring, right? It could
Right.
be anything. But Matt, you have been phenomenal. Again, I want to thank you again for sponsoring our employee event. So that's going to be exciting. We will be having Matt back, because everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not meant to be an investor, but there are some great jobs in the cannabis space. So we definitely will have you back over and over again. I'm
Yeah,
Cimone
well, I mean,
Casson.
yeah, go ahead.
Join InfoMM.
I already
The
did.
Michigan chapter president.
Yeah.
If you are not a member of InfoMM, I don't know what you're doing in this world. So definitely, we are the largest minority trade group. Big ups to the Queen Mother, Miss Roz McCarthy and Eric Range. I love you guys like I love myself. And what you gonna leave me with, Matt? Tell me something good.
Yeah. So I pride myself on making myself and my team available. If you've got a question, then text me, email me, call me, LinkedIn me, and if I can answer it, I will. If I don't know something, I'm gonna find somebody that does. I do clubhouses where you can just drop in and have a conversation with me, but whatever it is that I can do within my power to help you get into this industry, I will do. So thank you, Eric. Thank you, Cimone. Thank you, M4MM, for having me. I look forward to doing many more with you guys, and it's so fun to run with you two again. It's just been a
know. Oh no, but you know what? So Big Gretch opened us up, so y'all know we gotta schedule some time that we can all get together in the next couple weeks while we're out. I don't know if y'all, we can do. We'll figure out something. We'll hang out. We got to do something before the boot camp. So
I want to make two last quick points.
Sure.
One of the points Cimone has been making, because I'm seeing somebody spamming into our group about a cash app, and if you text them, they're gonna give you $3,000.
Oh yeah, don't do
the world don't work like that.
No, that don't got nothing to do with us.
Like that. You gotta put in the work. So please do not. I don't know who that is.
That ain't got nothing to do with us. So we ain't asked y'all for a dime. We have not asked y'all for any money.
And secondly, your Build-A-Bear reference. I'm gonna get a little science sci-fi with you.
What's that?
Avengers Endgame, when Tony Stark had come back and he was looking at Rocket after Rocket Raccoon said that Thor had pretty much effed up. He said, you look like a Build-A-Bear. And Rocket Raccoon was like, maybe I am. So anytime I hear the Build-A-Bear reference, I
That's
just
what
think
you
about
always
that.
think of. All right, well, we giving y'all much love, but we ain't giving away no hugs, y'all. We got to get together. The time is now. If we want to get in this space, this is not a time for warm and fuzzy. We running out of time, so let's get in while we fit in, and I'll see everybody next month.
All right. Thank you
All
guys.
right.